the suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
One of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
I got weed pots.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Stoned Appetit. With your host, as always, it's me, Kip. To my left, we finally got CB back out of jury duty and in the chair for another episode. How are you today, CB?
Oh, I'm doing great. We're on a cool location today. Couldn't be better.
And I'm not going to lie, this may be our best acoustics version of an episode yet. And that's because we're coming from, I'd say, easily my favorite cocktail bar in Denver, but also it's nestled in the basement of the Free Market in Dairy Block. We're coming to you from Run for the Roses with the man, the myth, the legend, the crafts cocktail king of Denver, Mr. Stephen Waters. Stephen, how are you, brother?
I'm doing great today. Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, you say that now, but in like 30 minutes, you're like, this is the fucking dumbest thing I've ever done.
Not at all. I'm so happy to do it. I always see you guys upstairs doing it or around the block. So it's great to be part of it and know what goes into it all.
Yeah, well, so you obviously, you're a friend of the program. We're friends of y'all's bar and establishment as well, but we wanted to let everyone else know, what we know, which is that you're sitting on possibly the sexiest date night spot in Denver. One of the greatest places you can grab a libation before or after dinner, or even parlay it with a meal. So we want to get the whole nitty gritty, and learn your story as well. But before we get into that, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors of the podcast. Our team over at Callie's Cannabis, who have recently opened 2 new locations in the Denver area. Obviously, they're very well known in the North Glen area for their Burbs location. They have killer deals on not only cartridges, but they also grow some of the best commercial grade cannabis you can get in Denver. With their new location at 31st and Larimer, they're helping out everybody in the Rhino neighborhood. They have discounts every day of the week. They have rewards programs, and they're about to unveil an industry rewards program as well. So for those in the hospitality that are working the long hours, they have the peculiar days off. We're going to have something tailored for you here in the future. But in the meantime, everybody gets to benefit from the badass daily deals you can get at Callie's Cannabis. If you want to know more about their products, their services, or their locations, go to their website. It's calliescannabis.com, or check their Instagram page at Shop Callies, ShopCallies, Shop Callies. All right.
Damn, that was good.
Thanks. And
well done.
I think we need to give a shout out to Steven because he brought us coffee, and I felt like that's what my
You're
brain.
energized.
So,
there you go.
Yeah, it was the Little Owl.
Yeah, coffee from Little Owl.
I mean, it's what Steven says is the best coffee shop in downtown, and I'm pretty sure he knows better than anybody, so we're going to take his word for it, but I'm firing on cylinders, Chris, and I'm fired up for this episode.
And we're not on the sauce yet.
Yet. It's early, but we are in the home of sauce, and so let's get this party started. Stephen, we like to ask the same kind of questions to get the ball rolling. Chris usually does that when he's in the hot seat, so Chris, you do the honors.
All right, Steven. Let's go with it. Are we a transplant or a native?
I'm actually one of the few Colorado natives. So I was born and raised in Durango, Colorado, and moved to Breckenridge after high school and then straight to Denver. I've been kind of mainly based out of Denver, but kind of back and forth a little bit in New York the last few years. But I've been in Colorado my entire life.
Okay. Well, what took you to Breck?
Snowboarding.
So were you ski bumming?
Yeah, I was totally ski bumming. I signed my first contract when I was 14 to snowboard, and then that was just the natural progression.
You were
getting
a
paid
professional snowboarder.
Yeah.
That is not bumming. That is a totally different.
Oh no, I was bumming at the time. Like
couch surfing.
Oh my gosh, I lived out of my car for a year after I lived in Breck. I was working at a T-shirt store. And I would actually go into the T-shirt store when I had to open the next day and sleep in the stock room some nights because I was living out of my car. I would, on small road trips, I would bring a box of ramen with us to eat on the way, we were definitely bumming. The epitome of bumming, for sure.
Crushing Mountain Dews.
Yeah.
Man, and I mean, as a professional boarder, I thought, everybody was getting that Shaun White money, but I guess I was a little bit mistaken.
I wish I missed out. I wasn't near as good as people on that level. That was, let's see, 2000, and I moved to Breckenridge in 2005. So,
okay.
Right around there, 2005 to, I think I stopped snowboarding around 2010, somewhere in there. 2010, 2011.
And then I heard of New York in there?
Yep.
What were you doing up there?
I was doing some marketing consulting for a while, and I had signed a lease for my first restaurant here in Denver. The apartment complex that it was in was being built, so I kind of had some downtime. And I was putting on an art show for a client of mine out there. Ended up getting a stage at a restaurant, and they offered me a job, so I just took it, jumped at the opportunity. I kept my house here. I packed 2 suitcases, went back there the next week, and worked every day for 6 months and took everything that I could and absorbed everything I could, and then came back here and opened my first restaurant. And then after I sold that, was just kind of bouncing back and forth.
This is a fascinating story. I've had cocktails with you 80 million times, and I have not known, you're a professional boarder, which means you can still shred the gnar even with your old knees. But also, I mean, that's a fucking journey, my man.
Absolutely.
You're betting on yourself. What was the first restaurant? Do I know it? What year are we
probably
talking?
not. It's now formally closed. So it was the Cap Hill location of it was Black Eye Coffee during the day and White Lies at night.
It had a really gnarly brunch. That one right there. It had vaulted ceilings.
Yep.
I know exactly where you
so,
were.
Yeah, we were on
the ex-girlfriend used to live
8th
right
and
around
Sherman.
the corner. That avocado toast with that like grilled corn on top and the microgreens.
Oh yeah.
I fucked with that,
Yeah.
and that was like a couple of years ago.
It was about 7 years ago we opened.
Okay, yeah.
So I was there for the first year, and I sold my ownerships to my former business partners, and kind of let them run it. And unfortunately, it is now closed.
But there's a couple more. So is Black Eyed a?
There was one other, but it's also different ownership now.
it
was sold.
Okay.
Yeah, not long after that.
Was that near like Lowdown Brewery or?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a
okay.
block away.
I know exactly the spot.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well. So after going.
Sorry. Give me
No,
one
you go
second.
ahead. Go ahead, take it. Yeah. Episode as well. I forgot where we left off because things happen. What were we discussing, Chris?
Professional boarder, Breckenridge, New York, restaurant
Black
in
Eyed
Denver.
Pea, sold it. Our Black Eyed Coffee sold it, and we're back in action. So what was? I mean, obviously you like coffee, but you're a member of the industry. You have you wear many hats. You've done different angles, whether it be stocking shelves or pouring bean water. How did we find our way into becoming a mixologist craft cocktail? Did you always love making me drinks?
I always have loved making you drinks ever since you first started coming in. I think it kind of was a natural progression. It started, I started working in restaurants because I needed money.
Been there.
Because of snowboarding, So a friend of mine was like, I can get you a job at the restaurant that I work at, bussing tables. So I started bussing tables, and I just loved it. I loved the environment, being around the people, most of the guests that came in. It was like a really great kind of small family scenario as far as workers go. And then I saw that the people that were behind the bar had what I thought was the easiest job and made the most money. So that's where I wanted to be. Yeah. Not the easiest, but I think for the most part make the most money. That's changed over the years, but I mean that was 15 years ago now. So the disparities between front of house and back of the house are
the
a
gaps
little
are
less.
trying to close a little bit.
Yeah, and between bartenders, servers, bussers, things like that are hopefully quite a bit lower in most establishments. I know there's still a lot of that there, but it was just a natural progression, and I had a great kind of mentor, James Lee, who owns the Bitter Bar in Boulder.
Uh-huh.
He originally put me behind the bar. We had worked together at a restaurant. He had left and gone to another restaurant to do consulting, and had called me to ask if I wanted to be on the team and wanted to be behind the bar with him. And he, really started to teach me the basic fundamentals and techniques and tasting and learning about spirits and things like that. And that's kind of where I really dove in.
So was this back like when the first bitter bar in Boulder?
Yeah, so he actually started the first Bitter Bar with Big Red F Restaurant Group.
Okay.
And then he had left for a little while, was doing consulting, and he actually then came back and ended up buying it from Big Red F.
Okay,
so he owns and operates it now.
Okay, because that thing went through so many changes. I don't know if you remember in Boulder, it was like was it on the far end of Pearl, or was it like Walnut?
Yeah, I think it's on Walnut. It's basically a block down from the St. Julian.
Yeah, but that was like one of the first kind of cocktail bars in Boulder, like as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah, I think James Lee is kind of a godfather of craft cocktails, or mixology, if you will, in Colorado at least. I mean, he's been doing it for 30 years.
I mean, and to bring you in, and then I guess you kind of under his wing, the tutelage, and then how long were you there before you were like, you know what, I think I'm ready to do this, kind of venture out? Was there more to that path and journey?
Kind of. It wasn't necessarily linear. It's kind of always been up and down. I was there for about 2 years. I was kind of doing consulting at another company for a little while at the same time. And then I think it was probably about 4 years since, like, after that, when I started my own place.
And so, I mean, I'm not trying to like push through your history by any means, because it sounds like it's a lot more riveting than ours.
100%.
Yeah, 1,000%. But at the same time, it seems like you're on to something here. And as we've seen, the Denver kind of scene has grown, whether it be, like you've been around obviously in the industry for 15 plus years, 16 years, or what have you, in our little bubble of Denver, Boulder, but the scene has grown with the younger community coming in, and then we can support more of the bitter bar type scenes, upscale craft cocktails and things of that nature. How did we find our niche here in the dairy block? How did Run for the Roses come to fruition?
It all honestly kind of just happened. My old place was 24 hours a day. Well, not 24, 22 open, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we're 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. We did everything in-house. We made all our own pastries. We roasted coffee. We did a full breakfast menu. We transitioned into lunch. We had an afternoon food menu, a completely different cocktail menu at night. We did a tasting menu at night. There was so many things involved with it.
So exhausting.
Yeah,
it was very exhausting.
And
it was a lot of work.
All those things, like that's like a Cheesecake Factory menu.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 72 pages of just like inventory and stock just wilting away.
Yeah, so many things.
It's like a grocery store.
Yeah,
I think that was you're
like, fuck food. We're going straight alcohol.
Yeah,
from here
let's
on
do
out.
everything. So I was definitely naive in thinking that my first restaurant could be so great in all of those aspects. And
is that just one of those woes? Like we see oftentimes, like restaurants not necessarily fail, but like when you're the one that does the remodeling and all of these things, you take on such a brunt of not only a financial burden that maybe you also kind of like reach too high, or like the expectation, like you think you take on too much. I don't know exactly how to ask that.
Yeah, I think as employees in restaurants, we think it's really easy. We're like, I can fucking do this.
Yeah,
like,
I come in every day and it just
I'm
works.
here every day. Everything's here for me. I have to prep, take care of people. Like, you have no idea about sales tax, payroll tax, insurance, liabilities, unemployment.
Fuck, I need to know more about
benefits,
that
all those things. Like filing taxes, monthly taxes versus quarterly. How do you pay those? How do you make sure that, you are open and making money, because so many restaurants, don't even make it past the first year, and they truly live and die off pennies. And I think when you're an employee every day, you don't understand that. You just come in and be like, I got this. All this shit just shows up. It's already here. Vegetables are here. Yeah, I don't even need to cost them. I'm making this cocktail menu. I just can play with anything behind the bar and make whatever cocktail I want. Doesn't matter the cost of it. I don't know that two bottles next to each other, one costs the restaurant $20 and one costs the restaurant $60. So there's, a rhyme and a reason to everything. And I was very naive in getting into my first place thinking that we could do everything. But that was how it came to Dairy Block, is we were invited to essentially do that same concept for the hotel within the block. And I, at that time, had learned that it was too much for me and that I would not